Alright, we are desperate now to catch up on this progress rolling out here on the Farmlet Quest, because I don't like to do a video unless I've had a full and decent mow, because I've been going so hard working on the garden, planting trees and getting my indoor set up, cranked up, flower beds rolling and buying so many plants every week. And all of that just once again opening up a whole new mission tree on the Farmlet Quest, going along with a lot of things that I was just hinting at in the last episode. More plant business and less drama with tenants, as I just didn't seem to be making any progress with sorting out these buildings over here. This damn bus all over the tenants, and so I just decided to focus on really smashing this garden now, because you can construct and build fast, but you can't build a tree. You gotta start now. So as I mentioned in the last episode, I'm starting to get energized by the fact that after near 7 years, it's not such a struggle to get this garden to happen. It's not an uphill grind where I'm fighting to hold my ground. The natural adversity of pestilence, the onslaught of weeds, slugs and bugs seems to have begun tapering off. And maybe it's just because I got so much cabbage here, I don't even notice it. It's just too much for even the bugs to eat. What this is actually what they call permaculture. I wasn't aiming directly for it, but it's coming through for me, that the environment here functions far better for all my plants now than when it was a paddock for cows, which is what it was 7 years ago. I mean, this looks like a jungle, but there is a ton of food in there. Now I see so many of the ideas I've tried to develop meeting with the scale I've been struggling to operate on, and that's giving me results that are a little bit more impressive. The main push came from the raspberries and how that represents a strategy of opportunism. I saw that it was getting easy for me to start raspberries around the property, and you get berries December to April, while peaches fall on the ground all at once and rot. Grapes, the burst is too short. These raspberries just go on and on. And what that led into after the last episode was a huge development into berries, and at last count I believe at least 20 new different bushes have been established following a big clearance at Bunnings. I've just been wiping that Bunnings clearance table every week, and well, the amount of plantings I've done over the period of the last episode and this one, which is basically all of 2024, well, it's been massive. And it started with the raspberries and seeing that crossing over into a semi-commercial situation in which the land is producing a lot something that's valuable without really needing any maintenance is a way to ease the pressure from relying on tenants for income. Chickens, after all, don't even know what rent is, they just lay the eggs. Like with the raspberries, I don't have to maintain the situation that stringently to be able to make enough to afford extra stuff around here. But I'm seeing a recycling revolution evolving where most of the things I need are free. I just need the gas and the motivation to go and get them. I've still been mostly active in this back end of the property down here because it's the finalization of the whole structure of the north side of the property, and that is set up for possibly 2 tenants and the cabins and the tiny homes. I'm still channeling my efforts into improving the presentation of this area because I don't want the same lousy tenants. I'm keen for some nice grannies or something who value what I'm doing with the garden. And you see, I really did move hard in establishing these little bed areas here. The path here has been upgraded with these free tiles I scored. Much like the trees over between the house and the pond, I wanted a flower area within a tile path where I could push ahead as a model of what I would repeat around the property. You got garden islands with trees in the middle, and then you get a second tier of larger shrubs, fruit trees, berries, and then the flowers on the borders are bringing that vibrant colour. And my garden paths are bathroom tiles that I find, which generally come in the standard sizing. So this lets me model how I'll be doing more of the place. How you just roll up to that clearance table and you're just snapping those petunias, marigolds, daisies, 50 cents or maybe $1 for a punnet, and you're smashing it in, big boom, all up and down your borders. This just reminded me why we had to get a new video up ASAP, because we are going big boom out on the borders here. It's mainly fruit and berries, but I'm still putting in dozens of new trees into these 3 shelter areas I was focused on to finalize the shelter on this half of the property. And now I just picked up an awesome auction of 20 new native trees, so they're just going in boom, boom, boom. So with what I've done this year, I'm going to have the whole north side of the property planted out for shelter, and the south side is more of a thin point. It isn't really a priority. It needs a full focus makeover in the future. Like I said, I'm focused on cutting down the wind where the next people are going to be living and having their gardens. And you see, that would open up new areas as tree planting areas. I started work here on a new path just by throwing down cardboard and gravel. That's how I start, and then build up from there. It's time to really start developing this new drive entrance with a bit more presentation. This is a little bit of a big deal, because when you start building out from the front of your place, especially for me, when I got a massive 200-meter long frontage, you're letting them know out there you're stepping out and ready to show your stuff. The other thing I wanted to get a look at in action was this activity here, classic FARMLETQUEST action here, where you see I formed up this massive battlefront of plastic, ply, roofing, whatever, to liberate the bus from weeds. And it may not make that much sense, but you got to realize I am just one guy trying to manage 2.5 acres with about 20 hours a week, and I have taken on this complete tactical mindset that I can bash this property into order with anything and everything I can get my hands on. And that equation has changed, because I was starting to look at this bus and the shed here as a bit of a failure, because they're in the wrong place and it hasn't done anything to attract interest in the spot from decent tenants. And that's when I remembered that what I said in the last episode, that people are not going to see your vision and if you don't make it real for them in front of their eyes. Maybe it's better just to fill this bus with chickens, or maybe use the fact that it's got these nice big windows and the roof is getting rust in it, to use it as a greenhouse, to keep more and more plants close, because that is really the main direction of things here at the moment. It's just more and more plants. Chickens can pay rent and fruit can pay rent, and you can flip plants. It's not my desire to grind out full-time hours being a Farmer Joe style lifestyler. That is not my style of gameplay. My style is to get money flowing, value building, get a decent hunk of land, so I could build wide, build hard, and build big. You can see that having some tenants here for a few years was good to build up a few things, but maybe I am better off without all the problems that they cause. So really just using this cardboard here for soft control of these weeds. Really using cardboard and boards still at a greater scale than ever, and materials like this to try and conserve my energy for development rather than endless maintenance. I wasn't interested in doing the lawns. I need to be able to go away for up to 3 months and not come back to a wilderness jungle. So I need low maintenance strategies until I've developed these outer areas so they don't revert to weeds. This is where I'm still pushing with carloads of cardboard for soft control of these weeds, pushing them out everywhere. Most of my development budget, aside from just buying cheap plants, probably just with a thought to flip up to half of them, has been on expanding my light setup here and trying different stuff. So check out what I've done with the clothesline and this little alcove I've got going on over here. I've got to protect all my plants here from the wind and frost over winter, and though it turned out to be another stupid attempt to have light outside, it's still an idea I'm plugging away at, and now most of my setup is focused here in the barn, next to a place where I can work. I've got to have my full attention on getting these plants either pumping fruit, strawberries pumping fruit, and reviving bargain basement plants I bought just for the flipping. Along with this idea of chickens in the bus, you could do mushrooms in the shed, and I'm sure the videos will get more interesting when you see these projects develop. Well, you see this whole new quest tree opening up. Before, I was focused on attracting tiny home people to rent these cabins, and although I still have the main house rented out, I really starting to see that money wouldn't come in easier if I just kept on loading value onto this land in every way. A nicer garden, plenty of hustles to step into if you want to get agricultural or horticultural business running and continue to boost up the basic foundations. I can't really manage stuff like plumbing and wiring myself, and it costs a fortune, so I have to pump it up where I can add value. We got plenty of primary industry starting to really pump, because I want to see that threshold broken where rent is not the only income stream coming off this property. The land can be built up with more value. Playing taller means any improvement on a weed paddock here. Better it to be a paddock full of raspberries with bathroom tile paths than a paddock full of weeds. What do you do with eggs and tomatoes and strawberries once you've got them? How do you sell them? That's your output. And I'm having a bit of a revolution in my thinking on the inputs, and it started to come with how I use cardboard, but more and more this is expanding to a point where, having done so much thinking and driving and collecting this and collecting that, it began to dawn on me that a major piece of the puzzle here to getting food pumping at the money level was literally over my back fence, and it had been there the whole time. So in the next episode of Farmlet Quest, we are going to be getting deep in the shit with these girls over here. Yes, I'm talking about you, but I just had to make sure that we had an update, because you can see the process of the planting and using random materials to finally end any sense that this was once a cow paddock that belonged to you ladies. So that's what the Farmlet Quest is all about. Resources and tactics applied, seeing the mission tree out to where the value is coming back into your farmlet, and you're building bigger and taller and wider and better into new ideas, new income streams flowing into your catchment area right here on the Farmlet Quest.